Hi, friends.
Hi, everyone. It's Caitlin and Shanika with Get Checkered. Get Checkered is part of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown and community supported.
We're coming at you post Mexico GP.
Yeah, and I don't know, we're having a hard time in terms of energy, so apologies beforehand if it's not as punchy as normal, but we're tired.
We'll try. So the race for us was at noon.
Yeah.
And we were at the bar and we came back about 2. And here we are, it's like 4:30 and we finally have our notes ready to go.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, maybe it's just the morning drinking that's the issue. I don't know.
It shouldn't be an issue. You guys, I was in Mexico the past week. So I definitely have a special place in my heart right now for this Mexico GP.
Yeah.
Met some great people down there. So I'm thinking a great plan for next year is go to Mexico
on vacation
for a week and then come to the Mexico GP. It would be fantastic.
Before we dive into the actual race, we have a quick few headlines that happened throughout the week. One of the biggest ones, and probably most exciting one for people, is that Formula One has extended their Chinese Grand Prix contract until 2025, and that's from Formula One itself. The race itself will be back in 2023. Obviously, I feel like we know that a lot of the teams and tracks and everything's just been adjusted because of COVID, so they'll be back, which is exciting. But the Chinese Grand Prix debuted in 2004. So it has been quite a staple for nearly 20 years. But again, just have some issues with them going back to China because China is just not a great place. We know that there are serious issues when it comes to human rights, specifically about the Uyghur people who have been essentially systematically killed off over the last several years. So it's not great. Again, the FIA and Formula One seem to care more about money than they care about people. So,
and it's not like they seem to care; they just they do, So
it's not.
We can all see it.
It's not surprising, but still kind of sucks. I think more than anything. Yeah,
but I think some of the drivers really do like that track.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure they'd be like, maybe it's okay if we miss out on it if it means we're not in a country that's killing people.
Do that track somewhere else.
For the audio listeners, you can't see this, but Fergie, one of Caitlin's cats, is just infecting my face.
Fergie, come on, honey. No, he's not going to. That's okay.
All right. The next headline is about Miami.
Yep, Miami GP coming up next year for the first time
ever. Yeah.
I'm not surprised by this note. Shanika put down that demand is really high. And I'm like, yeah, I would love to see it.
I know.
The timing of it is great for those in school.
We really wanted to, and we were talking to, if you haven't listened to our last episode, we interviewed the CEO of Grid Rival, and he was actually the first person that mentioned it to me, that it was going to be limited capacity.
Because it's not a new circuit. It's a street circuit, right?
It's a street circuit. But with only 80,000 seats and attendees, and proving how in demand it is, 275,000 people pre-registered for something that has the capacity of only 80,000. So if you're looking for a ticket, maybe
might be expensive.
Might be very expensive and hard to get this year. So sorry, not this year, for next year, but might be one that, I don't know. Just stay tuned. I just don't think that, I don't know. It's just so expensive. I don't know how they're going to pull it off this year.
I wonder if it's you want to get a ticket, but you can't go see, you can't get a ticket, but you still come to the city for the atmosphere maybe.
Maybe that's the way to play it. Yeah. Miami's still though super expensive. So I don't know. Make the call for yourself, people.
Shanika is a little bit sassy right now. Damn. Okay. She put another note down here. We are getting closer to Porsche joining.
I know, which is so exciting. We've been talking about it, I feel like, a few episodes now, with them having the desire to join. And I don't know. It's exciting, but the big thing is that they need to pull the trigger now. because if they want to be ready for 2025, they really start developing the power unit engine, all the pieces.
So Shani, is this like Porsche, like is this the VW group including Audi, or is this like the Porsche specific part of VW?
So great question. So in the article, they did say, oh, VW that manages Audi and Porsche, but then the rest of the article was just about Porsche. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, you guys probably know, if you've listened to the other episodes, I'm an Audi girl.
Yeah, that's true.
I would love for Audi to join in.
I mean, more engines is good. Hopefully more teams
competition
come along with it. That would be good too.
Yep. And then another one you found, very good one.
Yeah, so I think all of us were expecting, when it came to COTA, some sort of announcement tied to Michael Andretti and Alpha Romeo. And we were waiting for it too. And I think we shared it on our stories. We're like, okay, this is the weekend. It's the American GP. Like, if you're going to announce it, would be this weekend. Nothing happened. And according to Autosport, what actually ended up happening is that the deal completely just didn't go through. This reminds me of quite literally dealing with investors in the entrepreneurship world, where they may say they're interested, but then you do due diligence for forever, and
you like hold your ground a little bit for what you want.
Yeah, and then they're out. So it has nothing to do with money, which I know is the typical answer when it comes to anything related to Formula One and the teams, but it was more so just management of the team. So they wanted his money, but they didn't want him to have any part in really running it. But he wanted to give his money and also have more responsibility in actually running the team. So that's kind of where the deal ended and didn't happen. And I'm not surprised, but it's kind of shitty.
Yeah, I think like those are terms. Like, if you can't agree on who you want to run the team, yeah, you're not going to come to a deal. No. So maybe Andretti he has to go to another team.
Let's see what else is out there. But it seemed like Alfa Romeo was the one that was the best pick for him. Yeah. The last headline is something that came out with Kevin Magnussen's new book, by the way. He does have a book.
From his book?
It's like tied to the book. So I think he's just been doing a lot of press to promote the book, and that's where he's getting asked these questions. But we found out that when Kevin Magnussen obviously was left without a team, that Williams was considering dropping Russell, of all people, to sign Kevin Magnussen for the 2021 season.
That's a weird headline when you first see it.
Headline, and he agreed. So I don't have a quote here. I wish I did, but basically he said it was pure idiocy
to give up Russell
to keep
Russell. Latifi.
Yeah,
and to, like, if you want to bring Magnussen in, yeah, for the team to do well, you should probably keep Russell.
Yeah, and that's what he said. He said Russell and Kevin Magnussen, that's a strong team, but like Nicholas Latifi and me, like, that's not a strong team.
Like, glad you guys want.
He's not shitting on himself, obviously, but it's just that we know that Nicholas Latifi has just not performed well in Formula One in general. So interesting that, I mean, I'm glad he's spilling the tea a little bit, but it's also
it's interesting to hear that, like, Williams, you were going to pull that plug, really? Probably
thinking that, you know, Russell will land somewhere because he's so good. But like, if you want a strong team for yourself, then like, why would you consider dropping it?
It's quite odd, considering, you guys, we know how well Russell's done this year for Williams.
Yeah,
I hope Russell just, like, I wonder if he knew about that.
I don't know,
or if this is a revelation for him.
This might be a revelation. But what I also think is weird is that Williams, you talked about on the podcast, has said that they're now at a place where they don't need a paid seat. So going into the season, they wouldn't have technically needed a paid seat. So why are you keeping Latifi?
And also, it's like, Williams, like, yeah, they got bought out by a bigger group, but like, they still maintain that whole, like, it's the family vibe, right?
Yeah.
But I think it is being bought out by that big group that probably, like, enticed them to do it for. But why? I'm trying to figure that out.
I don't know.
Like, bring Magnussen in instead of Russell, who's an up and comer.
I have no idea.
I don't see the logic.
I couldn't tell you.
Whatever. Yeah, so it didn't go through. It was going to happen for this 2021 season, and wild. It would have been a very different season.
Yeah, and I think that Kevin Magnussen, we've seen now with Le Mans and the other things that he's in, he is a solid driver. He just, like, was never at a good team. We know that Haas's management issues and never in a good car. So it'd be interesting to have him back. But now, again, you're competing with the talent that's coming up through Formula 1, 2, 3, all of that.
Yeah.
Or maybe Formula E. So it's a lot to consider, but who knows? Maybe we'll see him back at Formula One.
Okay, I don't know much about Kevin Magnussen, only what Drive to Survive has, but it's kind of like he had a lot of spunk to him. I mean, he could bring some drama.
Right? I agree.
It could be interesting. Yeah, so that's our weekly headlines updates.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Park Power, your friendly local utilities provider in Alberta, offering internet, electricity, and natural gas with low rates, awesome service, and profit sharing with local charities. Winter is coming, and energy usage for all Albertans will be increasing. So now is a great time for listeners to look at their utility bills and ensure that they're on the best plan. Albertans have a choice who they pay their utility bills to. Park Power is happy to provide free, no obligation comparisons. If you decide to switch providers, it's easy. And you can feel good knowing you are supporting a local business and helping to give back to our communities with your utilities bills. Learn more at parkpower.ca.
We're going to go into a quick session of track facts.
Caitlin did so much research, and there's some interesting things about the wonderful track in Mexico.
Oh, guys,
it looks so beautiful.
I wanted to be there. Like, it just looks so amazing, like that central just like stadium area around, and they have that beautiful just painting on the tarmac, and it's just like, oh, it's amazing. And Mexican people and being in Mexico. Oh.
As you can tell, she's having a little bit of withdrawal.
Post vacay withdrawal, but just like post Mexico withdrawals, okay, you guys. So yes, this one, I've never been to Mexico City either, so I want to see Mexico City. So fair. This circuit is called the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Is in I'm going to do this in
good
Spanish.
Try.
So it's in the Ciudad de Mexico, so Mexico City. And if I butchered that, please don't make fun of me too bad.
She also took Spanish through.
I tried, and I was speaking Spanish when I was down there.
That's good.
It's pretty pitiful, but I tried. So this circuit is named after actually brothers. So racing drivers, both of them, Ricardo and Pedro Rodriguez. It's kind of sad in a way because it's like the circuit got its name shortly after it opened. When Ricardo Rodriguez died in practice for the non-championship 1962 Mexican Grand Prix. And Ricardo's brother, Pedro, was also killed behind the wheel 9 years later in Germany.
Holy crap.
So it's kind of so they named it used to be called the, oh dear, Magdalena?
Yeah.
Mixhuca?
I think that's great.
And then after the incident with the Rodriguez brothers, it was renamed.
Okay.
So this circuit also hosts the NASCAR Peak Mexico Series, as well Formula E. And Alpha Romeo, a fact we found from Wikipedia, thank you, is it hosts EDC Mexico.
Which is not surprising when you saw the musical guest for
We'll get today. There, yeah. And then Shanika said that EDC Las Vegas is at our racetrack.
It's also at a speedway. It's at the Las Vegas Speedway. So I get it. It's a lot of space. There's stadium seating, so it makes sense.
So yeah, EDC, y'all. So, and I found this fact that the circuit includes a baseball stadium inside turn 14, which is called the Peraltada. Did I do that? Peraltada? Yeah. The stadium is called Foro Sol, was home to the Diablos Rojos de Mexico, and also hosts music concerts. There was a whole bunch of music concerts listed. I didn't write all the pretty big bands, so pretty cool. So this circuit was built in 1959. The first Formula One Grand Prix was in 1962 here, though, but it was non-championship. It became part of the championship 1 year after, so 1963 here.
Wait, so he died in the first, like, it was built in 1959, and the first Grand Prix was held there in 1962. That's the same year that
died in practice.
The Rodriguez person died.
The first Rodriguez brother.
Yeah.
I think it was after the second Rodriguez brother Pedro passed that they did the Hermanos Rodriguez. See.
Okay.
See. Okay. Interesting note about this circuit is twice now the circuit was removed from the F1 calendar due to safety concerns.
Oh, what? Interesting.
Right? So 1970, it was because of like crowd control / spectator overcrowding caused unsafe conditions, whether that be just for spectators or for the drivers as well. I don't really know. I didn't find that line, but unsafe. And then again, it came back, and then later it was again taken off the calendar after 1992, again for safety concerns, and that's all I found.
Geez, that's not great.
And then it was back 2015, I think.
Okay.
So
Hopefully they change things.
right? Like we saw a lot of rushing.
Yeah, rushing onto the track, which again, we'll talk about, but
it happens at races.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe it's just like everything to do with like the stadium's right there, and I don't know. But yeah, there's that fact, you guys. So here's one. I could find the website. I'm sorry I can't, but it's pretty much copy pasted probably from Wikipedia or something. The circuit has an elevation of 2,200 meters. So that is 7,300 feet. That is high. Mexico City is high. The thin air causes difficulties for both the drivers and their cars. This reduces the levels of aerodynamic drag that the cars will experience, meaning that higher downforce setups can be used with less impact on straight line speed. So you actually saw this turn out to be pretty good for Red Bulls, because our friend, actually shout out to Ohm.
Yeah.
Ohm, he was watching the race with us at the bar, and he was explaining the different setup between the Red Bull car and the Mercedes car, and how Red Bull is more, it has a higher downforce on it, so it's better for these circuits that are higher downforce. But Mercedes has the better straight line speed.
Yeah.
But so kind of hearing that about this track, yeah, we can kind of guess that Red Bull has
just an upper hand,
right? Some records to go over is the lap record used to belong to Nico Rosberg from back in 2015, but now, as of this race this year, it goes to Valtteri Bottas.
Woohoo!
Max has won 3 times now at this track, so that's tied for most wins along with Jim Clark. Lewis Hamilton has only ever won twice here.
Goddamn.
Right?
Yeah.
And you know what? We could cut this out if it's not true, but I heard that Valtteri Bottas, don't know what year, but he clocked the fastest speed trap time for F1 plain here at this track. Like, not just like for that year, not just for like that constructor. It's like for F1, he clocked the fastest time.
I mean, are we surprised?
Valtteri, fucking you go, boy. I was going to say you go, girl. Okay, car performance. I got this from that racefans.net again. Car will be full throttle about 45% of the time, so that's less than the other.
Sorry, I just fact checked Caitlin. There wasn't anything to fact check. But she's right. Valtteri has held the record, the top speed record in Formula One since 2016.
Bueno, and that was with Williams.
He was driving a Williams and clocked in at 375.2 kilometers an hour at the end of the main straight. Could you imagine braking after that?
No, I don't think I can. It's like you brake too hard after like 80 kilometers. You're like, oh,
your body. Yeah, not great.
Thank you for checking that. Very good. Okay. So yes, full throttle about 45% of the time. They're anticipating about 52 gear changes a lap, 17 turns. For this track, 71 laps. It's about 4 kilometers per lap. So tire talk, quickly, they went to, again, a medium range of your slicks, so C2, C3, C4.
Yeah.
The strategy was commonly for a one stop. And what we saw in this race, what?
Oh, nothing. I was just thinking about how there's one driver in particular where this was definitely not a one stop, but we'll talk about it.
Okay, most of the time the strategy could be a one stop. Yep. So the Pirelli infographic came out. This track comes out as like a low, quote unquote low, as in a 2 out of 5 ranking, for lateral asphalt grip and asphalt abrasion. And there's also a medium, so 3 out of 5 for traction and tire stress. So putting those together kind of makes sense that so it makes sense for one pit stop. You're not anticipating lots of excessive tire wear. Now it was ranked for high, if not like 4 out of 5, if not 5 out of 5, for braking and downforce actually. So hearing that, it's like the downforce is a 5 out of 5. So a high downforce setup car is going to do well here, like the Red Bulls. Yeah, that's our track facts from Mexico.
Yeah.
It's a conspiracy!
All right. It's a Conspiracy is the podcast where we lay out the beliefs behind selected conspiracy theories, alternative accounts, legends, myths, and more. We do our best to present these without coloring them with our opinion until the end, where we let our feelings fly. We also do beer reviews, chat about geek culture, and whatever else strikes our fancy. Good times. And we're a part of the Alberta Podcast Network. Locally grown, community supported.
So we actually did something interesting for Quali this time around.
Mm-hmm.
We joined some members of the F1 Chronicle team and actually hosts of other podcasts to do a watch along. So they are, if there's a link in the description of this video and then also this episode of the podcast. So if you want to watch it, go ahead and see Caitlin and I don't have a poker face. That's something I realized very quickly. We're very expressive with our faces.
But that's why, Shanika and I can speak without words.
So if you want to watch it, it's like 2 hours long or something.
And it was interesting because we're all watching on our own streams. So the timing is off for everyone.
I was behind by like a minute.
And I was ahead and I'm just like,
so that's
I'm not saying anything, and I'm just like, someone better bring this up because I know
our
you guys are gonna get to
you
it.
can see our faces. It was
fun though.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
And to talk to other people.
Yep.
So check it out. But we do have some highlights.
Yep. Kind of summed up. And just going back to FP3 because that was a highlight, really.
Yeah.
Because Checo comes out on top.
And
Mexico.
Home. Yeah. In his home, which we were excited for.
We love to see that.
Yeah. The home races are important.
And we had such high hopes. Like, okay, you guys, if you've been listening to the podcast, you know that like Shanika likes Checo, but like he's not her number one. I probably usually don't like Checo. I'm not a Red Bull fan. But for this race, for Mexico, we want to see Checo do good.
We did want to see Checo.
We had really high hopes for him. So, we had our eye on him the whole time. Q1 happened. The big thing that really went on was Lance Stroll had a pretty big bump. Pretty big bump.
It stopped everything for about like 10,
red flag,
10, 15 minutes, but the barrier needed to be fixed.
Michael Massey came out to check the barrier.
Like running. Just like Phil Max going and running and checking everything. We saw like them bring out the barrier pieces on flatbeds and things. So it was quite significant. And even Lance actually ended up going back with the medical car because of how hard he hit it, which sucks. But he was fine. It's fine.
He got out of the car himself. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it was just like checking.
Precautionary and whatever. But it was significant.
Had a big bump.
Yeah.
And actually I think in the other free practices, like Charles Leclerc and Checo actually bumped into that same turn 16, right?
Turn 16, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they did.
Didn't one of them do it first?
Yep.
And then as he was saying it over radio, then the other one did it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but only Lance Stroll did that in quali.
Mm-hmm.
So we were kind of anticipating both Haas out in Q1, both Williams out in Q1, and we kind of like and then we saw Stroll was out, so we were like, okay, that's that. But actually, Alonso ended up being out,
which was surprising to us.
It's Alonso
because he can hold his own.
He can.
So,
but
Q1,
Georgie boy got out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that was the trade-off. So we'll take it. Q2 comes around. We ended up seeing Yuki do really well.
Freaking brought it. Like he spent most of that. How did your cat get up there?
My cats have been climbing up to the fridge. And the past week is
Clover
terrifying.
Just jumped from the top of her the fridge to her island. Anyways, that was something. But Yuki was doing so well and spent most of the time in P3.
Yeah,
like he was doing so well.
Very impressed with Yuki.
And really holding his own. So I think all of us were probably collectively surprised. Caitlin had a good point though. If you listen to the podcast episode / watch the YouTube video, Caitlin's like Q2 was just like hard. Like you never know what's going to happen with Q2. So it's hard to make a call.
Because it's like, it's almost easy with Q1. You kind of know who the bottoms are. Well, you know the bottom 4.
Yeah.
And then like having someone already out, it was like, okay, easy. Yeah. But then Q2 is always like a toss up. You don't know who's going to make it up. But we ended up having like turned out to be pretty standard outcome in the way that like the 5 top-ish teams, I would say, all both of their drivers made it
Yeah.
up. So we had
consistent.
Let's see if we can get this. We had Mercedes, we had Red Bull, we had Alpha Tauri, we had McLaren, and we had Ferrari.
Yeah.
So all 10 of those drivers made it out of Q2.
Mm.
So it was we anticipated a lot of toes for Q3. They were all kind of lined up, ready to go.
For Q3 it was funny because they literally came out, and I don't know if it was Martin Brundle or whoever, because we didn't watch with audio, but he kept calling it Noah's Ark because everyone was going twos.
You should get subtitles on.
I had closed captions.
That's genius. I didn't because my computer wasn't showing. I'm watching this on my phone.
But yeah, so everyone was in twos, using like each other's toes essentially to get them farther.
And now we saw some amazing like times going on. Max was killing it in Q2, and so was Checo. But then Q3, we had Valtteri Bottas just knock it right out the park, and we're like, what?
Yeah, like he had so much speed in the car, and I'm glad he brought it when he did. But I was just like,
damn, yeah,
like he was just faster than everyone at every point, and it was like, damn, this is great.
Because like we saw people get into like 117s, and then the 116s were like,
yeah,
okay.
Like,
but Valtteri cracks the 116 mark. He's 115 something, and it was like,
he had speed in that car. He really did.
I'm pretty sure though. I saw like unofficial lap record because it was in qualification with someone who was like a 114 years ago. Might have been Danny Rick.
Well, what if Valtteri has the fastest speed time of all time?
Well, that's only during a race.
Oh.
Quality times don't count for fastest lap time.
Okay. Did not.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, it's very impressive.
So yeah, Valtteri comes out first. We did not anticipate Valtteri to come out first.
And we got finally, it feels like it hasn't happened all season.
I don't think it has.
But a Mercedes 1-2
to start the race. Yep.
With Max in third, and then Checo in fourth.
Sí, señora.
And you're probably wondering what the hell happened if Max and Checo were doing so well through free practice and most of the qualities.
And how did they end up in 3-4?
Because of this mini segment we call Justice for Yuki.
Yeah, they blame it on Yuki.
So what ended up happening, Yuki was told over the radio, the Red Bulls are behind you, and he moved aside, like quite literally went off track, because he was essentially just, him and Lando were both only in Q3 to give their teammates a tow, because both of them were taking penalties and would have to start at the back of the grid anyways. But yeah, if you saw like Lando was just chilling, driving like 20 seconds behind Yuki super slowly. And then, Yuki pulled aside and kicked up some dirt, and Checo went completely, cut some like so far into the grass. And then with him doing that, Max also got distracted, or like took his foot off the gas a little bit. And what happened, I guess, is that just like, I don't know, these drivers were just not paying attention, is what happened at the end.
Yeah, does it not just seem like a weird story?
The whole thing,
like they're blaming it on Yuki, and yet it's like, but what did he do wrong?
To quote Christian Horner, he said, "We got Sonoda," which we hate. I think,
that's not okay.
It's not okay, especially because this is a driver that's part of your
like family. He's like the youngest one of the family.
He's really struggled with his confidence. And when he was confronted about it in interviews after Christian's interview, he was like, he openly said now he's nervous and scared to like have that conversation. So I don't know. And then of course, with him saying that, there was like racist comments on Yuki's Instagram and things like that. And we said it once, we've said it a million times. Christian Horner and Helmut Marko, they all need media training all over again, because
we're not fans of them.
It's so
That's
ridiculous.
Not okay.
No, it's so ridiculous.
So hashtag justice for you.
But it's also like, if someone makes a mistake on a team, you all have to work together to figure it out. You don't throw someone under the bus. That's just like teamwork 101, right?
Yeah.
Take accountability, figure it out.
And I mean, to be honest, Christian, I'm sorry, did it affect your race that much?
No, it didn't. So what was the point? He was
scared. just destroying a boy's confidence.
And one that's like done so well this weekend.
Especially, he was killing it in Q2. Man.
So it was not great. Pissed us off to no end. I texted Caitlin. I was like, I'm so fucking mad.
And I'm like, what happened? And then she told me, and I'm like,
of course, like least surprising thing ever. But it's ridiculous. Anyways, I've heard lots of different things online how people are like, oh, Yuki shouldn't have pulled aside, like he kicked up all this dirt and didn't know, whatever, like rookie mistake. But then Checo clearly was looking at where Yuki was going and not where the track was, which that's a bit of a rookie mistake. Like, why are we saying that it's not weird that Checo, someone who's such a seasoned pro,
it is weird.
And then Max, I get it. If you see 2 cars go off, you're probably like, what the hell's going on? So maybe you do pull your foot off the gas a little bit, but also Max was so far back that it shouldn't have been that distracting to him.
So
it is weird. The whole thing is weird. Not gonna like hash that out, but our concern is more so like, Christian,
how you treat Yuki.
just be better. This is ridiculous. It needs to end.
How can he be a team principal and have this much airtime when his screen presence is that poor?
I know, I completely agree. I have no idea. And I don't know why they haven't like the hook in theater where someone just hasn't grabbed him and been like, we need to train you all over again, because the reputation of Red Bull, as we know,
it's like,
it's
you
like
don't seem like nice people right now, to be honest.
And whether it's the Netflix edit or whatever, like we're
seeing shit like this right now.
Yeah, exactly. This is not a Netflix edit. You can't blame it on that. This guy's just saying the shit.
I wonder if in the Netflix edit, if it'll be even more ruthless.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll find out, because
he's gonna throw something at the TV.
At the end of the day, like, of course the editing makes it feel more punchy, but like Christian says these things, like when he was talking to Pierre, he's like, Pierre, don't worry, you got this, you'll get used to the car. And then in a one-on-one with Netflix is like, yeah, we're gonna fire him, like demote him essentially. So I don't know. I think it's a mess. And if Red Bull wants to be considered best in everything, they need to train him all over again. Just not what you do.
No.
Anyways, we do want to celebrate though our sweet Valtteri.
Yeah. Okay. So back to Valtteri. Happy note.
Getting pole.
Yeah. So and they got a special prize for getting pole at this GP.
Yeah. There was a Fangio award.
Yeah, which I didn't know what it was, and Shanika shows me a picture, and Valtteri's wearing like old school helmet, and I'm like, what is this? So what it turns out to be, what this Fangio award they gave out is actually from a collaboration with the Juan Manuel Fangio Foundation. They gave the pole sitter a certified replica of the helmet with which Juan Manuel Fangio achieved his first Formula One title 70 years ago.
Insane.
So that was in the 1951 season. So it's really cute. Shanika showed me the picture of Valtteri, just like in the helmet and his goggles. It's very cute.
It was super sweet. But I think with that also, Valtteri unfortunately has this really shitty title or record of the most poles for never winning world championship. So
maybe he pulls something off with Alpha. Who knows?
I mean, he's a multi-year, so I think like with the cost cap coming in, I thought I hope maybe they can do something with Andretti, because that could also help bolster some stuff. You again, if for the audio listeners, we're both just staring where Caitlin's cats are, not even on top of the fridge right now. They're on top of the cabinet, which
and
is
it's not the small cat, it's the big cat.
Yeah, like where's he gonna go? Like you can't jump from there, my guy. I don't know.
You know, cats are insane, but I would like to know what goes on in their brain. I really would.
It's absolutely crazy.
Anyways, we're gonna move on. So yeah, we had all that happen in quali, and we're set up. Mercedes 1-2, and we have Red Bull in 3-4, Gasly in 5, right?
Yeah, Pierre did really well too.
And then we start like that for race day. It looks like a beautiful day in Mexico, and I wanted to be there.
Full crowd, lots of people, lots of good energy.
Yeah.
We did watch, like Caitlin said again, at the Hudson's downtown in Calgary. So thank you.
Shout out
everyone who came. And
great nachos, by the way.
Yeah, especially we top it with the pulled pork. It's really, really good. So our starts. What do you want to?
Okay, so we start, and it was actually like it was a charge.
Yeah.
Right. So you had the 2 Mercedes in front, and you actually had it was Max, right? Max got in the slip of one of the Mercedes, and then he ended up pulling out to the side, and he was faster than them, and he was going past them, and actually like. You end up seeing afterwards after turn 1, like Max goes, he brakes late and he comes out of turn 1 first.
Yeah.
But there was carnage
in the back
after that in turn 1 from everyone else.
It was a nightmare. Yeah, so great for Max. Great start, I think, in general, even for Lewis, the way that he was going. I do think there was maybe like not enough, I mean, I don't know, we don't know this, but strategy conversations just of like I feel like they should have gone maybe too wide longer to like stop Max, because they were still at like a one, I don't know. It just was like, I felt like more could have been done to prevent Max from swinging around the outside.
And this was exactly actually a conversation. If you listen to that qualification watch along from F1 Chronicle, they were like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, do you think someone's going to try and catch a toe from the get-go? And it was like, it wasn't even like, it was a good question, because it's like, well, I think like Red Bull's going to be in the front row. So is Mercedes going to try and catch the toe, or is it going to be like Max in the front row and Sergio behind him? Will he toe? But we did not imagine it being Mercedes towing Red Bull, but that turned out to be exactly the case.
And whipping them around. But there was just
turn one carnage,
just pain.
They called it a kerfuffle. I fully agree with that.
So initially we see Valtteri just spin and turn the opposite direction where he needs to be facing, and then Checo jump on the radio and say like, it was my fault, blah, 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 like I couldn't have done anything. But the thing is, if you looked at the replay, it actually was the McLaren of Danny Rick that ended up bumping
Valtteri's back tire. So it's like, why Checo, what are you saying?
I think probably Checo couldn't see or something, like I have no idea.
And he's just like, he's a good guy maybe.
I would think so.
Maybe I did that. I'm sorry.
But yeah, so
that was in it though.
Valtteri being spun around, all these other cars are trying to avoid him, and then we see both Yuki and Mick Schumacher end up getting out, right? Because they're trying to avoid that accident, and then we see the tail end of, I think it was the AlphaTauri like go airborne.
Yeah, you saw that. I didn't see that.
Yeah, and I was like, Jesus Christ. So just not great. I guess the good news is for Valtteri, he didn't end up
out of the race.
Yeah. But there was like damage to everyone's cars. Like there was so much plastic everywhere, or carbon fiber, I don't know what they used, but they called it red.
They called it yellow.
A yellow
flag. But there was a safety car.
Yeah. So even Danny Rick's car was damaged. There was some damage to the,
which kind of like, that was the prelude to us figuring out that he was involved in something.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, and we all heard that Prez said, oh, sorry, that was me. And then it's like, then we see Danny Rick's car ruined. We're like, what?
Yeah, this is not right, sir. And this really sucks for Danny, because he was actually in 7th. He was starting in 7th on the grid. So,
and Lando was starting like way at the back because of the engine penalty.
So for McLaren, it's like he was
the one.
Points just because of Ferrari doing as well as they did. So it was just not great. And when all was said and done, at one point, Valtteri was farther back than the man we never speak of, and was 20 seconds off the lead.
It's pretty pitiful. The man we never speak of was up in like 12th
for a while.
And people are like, that's the highest he's ever been.
I swear to God.
Yeah, because he's the 21st in a 20-person championship race.
Like, lest we forget that.
Yeah, let's just remember 21st, okay? So that was interesting. And they ended up, we were trying to figure out, like, there was really no notice about like anyone getting blamed from the FIA or anything. And so Shanika and I were looking at it, and they did call it a racing incident.
Yeah, which we thought was weird because
yes, and there's points that argue that like there's been lesser incidents that have been faulted
and had deep like penalties, like real penalties. And then also, if you think about
Shanika's MacBook is gonna like fall asleep.
I mean, we have a lot to say. Okay, I'm gonna get my charger. One second. Where is it? Okay, we're back. Sorry.
Hello. Avoided catastrophe there.
That's the entire episode. So there's just been other penalties for lesser things, but then also there was that really big accident in
it was Hungary
where Valtteri like took everyone out essentially.
It was Valtteri that hit Lando originally. And then there was like everyone was trying to avoid that, and Stroll ended up hitting someone.
And then Charles like ended up getting hit too.
Yeah, it was a massacre, right? It was something. And like this was not that. This was people turned around. 2 people had a DNF though, but this was a racing incident versus it looked very similar to perhaps. Well, I mean like the circumstances of it being like lots of traffic there, right? The first turn, and everyone trying to brake latest. it's a very similar circumstance, and yet this turned out to be a racing incident.
Exactly. When I mean, I think we hear about this all the time. There's just no consistency with the FIA. They kind of make their own calls whenever.
Hasn't Alonso been off about that lately? He's been like all over.
He's just not happy, mate. I mean, I wouldn't be like, we're not happy with just how inconsistent.
He's a nice sassy man.
Yeah, he's just.
You guys, I saw the cowboy version of Fernando Alonso in concert this week. I'm gonna put that up on our socials. But yeah, he was the band is Caribou Express or something. And they're
sounds like peak Canada right there. My God.
Yeah. They were very good. They are like a country band. They were playing for Classroom Champions, which is across Canada and USA. Go check it out, you guys. It's a very cool thing. So it's a charity event. They were performing, and this guy just walks up on stage, and I'm like, damn, that's Fernando.
Like Caitlin said, she'll throw it on our story.
Yes, so that's a big side tangent about Fernando.
Yeah.
Anyways. So yeah, okay, this whole incident is deemed a racing incident, and I don't know if they'll look at it further. I don't know if anyone's going to push them, but
I hope Mercedes like makes a little bit of a kerfuffle. Just because it's like, come on.
Bottas was in first and he ends up down in 18th.
Yeah. And like, you know, spoiler, but ends the race without a single point essentially. So it's just not great. The next thing we wanted to talk about though was the pitting, not strategy, but just like pitting in general and how things went well.
Because it's kind of like bad. There wasn't any big crashes after this. There wasn't like crazy weather changes. So really what dictated was like the pace of the car, which for the most part is not that different from the cars, but we did find out Red Bull's pace was a lot better than Mercedes, but the pits had something to do with a lot of this as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So we pitted, we have the situation where you have Max out in front, Lewis was in second, and Prez was in third. And you have Hamilton and Mercedes pulling the trigger first, which
is, I think, the right call.
Have they been doing that? Is he usually Red Bull triggering it first?
Yeah, the last few races it has been Red Bull.
Yeah. So this is Mercedes trying to do it first. Pretty much, yeah, but I don't know, nothing really happened.
Yeah, it wasn't going to undercut or overcut or do anything, to be honest, just because of the time gap between.
I think they were probably thinking it would be like maybe they could get more pace in the car because the tires would be fresher. And
but if anything, it was just to hold more position for later, essentially.
So Hamilton's pretty much like the first out of the top 10 that was pitting. And it was kind of very similar to that point where Price goes on the radio.
Yeah.
And he's like, tires are just starting to get good. And that's like past lap 30. And we're like,
okay.
Because he was on mediums, you guys.
Yeah.
And he's saying this. So Shanika and I, of course, we theorized that like, was Perez going to go the full distance? Like he ends up in, because Max had to end up pitting too.
Yeah.
And Perez was in first.
So he's leading the GP, home GP. We're thinking, oh my God, is there a way for
that he can just like
pull
not
this off?
We saw a coin do that. No, a coin was literally like on a nice edge.
Yeah, that would have been.
But we know Perez is good with tire management. So we're like, well, maybe
41 laps, a bit aggressive, obviously.
But I mean, he does pit though. He pits on 41. And yeah, so pretty much like Verstappen, Hamilton, and Perez pitted, and they all ended up in the same position. So very anticlimactic there.
And something we should note actually for Checo, him leading the Grand Prix is huge because there actually has never been a lap led by a Mexican driver in Mexico. So huge that he got like a couple laps in before Max came back out. So it's good.
Yep. Good news. On a more shitty end, more bad news for Bottas, unfortunately, you guys. It was not his race today.
Yeah, I think what devastated me is that when he got hit, he was so far back, and then of course the usual people fell to the bottom, you know, the Mazepins of the world, whatever. Ooh, said his name. That never happens. But he ended up behind the guy that hit him for like the majority of the race.
And he could not get around Ricardo for so long.
Not get around Daniel, but when he went into the pits, we're thinking, all right, this is perfect.
Well, because Ricardo pitted, right? And so Bottas is like, freedom.
Yeah. But
then he had to pit himself.
It was like, okay, if they do this well, he will still get out ahead of Danny.
Because McLaren's was like a 2.8 second.
Yeah.
Which is like,
it's not perfect, obviously.
No.
And it was 11.7 seconds.
okay, I don't know about you guys, but I think collectively in our bar, we were watching them. We're like just getting flashbacks of Monaco.
Yeah.
Because it's just like it was problems
bad.
with the front tire again. And you're like, oh,
And we saw it
no.
spark this time too.
Yeah, we
where
saw
I was
it.
like, what is happening?
And I was like, oh God.
So it ended up being 11 seconds. And of course, the
Like
one thing
almost 12.
he wanted to do, which was to get ahead of Danny
And
he
stay
ended up
ahead of him.
behind Daniel again. So
Like behind Daniel, Esteban,
Esteban,
and Russell. And he ends up in 15th. And it's just like, oh, that's bad.
it's not good for him. This was not the race for him.
Not his Sunday.
No.
Sorry about us. But I mean, like, they end up like, okay, maybe this, like, they definitely had this for strategy reasons, but like maybe his pitting team can have redemption because he ended up pitting a lot more too.
Yeah.
But all about strategy to like take fastest lap away from Max. Mercedes team pits Bottas on 66 and puts him onto softs to get him speedy.
It was funny though, because when he came out, he was essentially coming out near Max. And he joked that Max was slowing him down a little bit.
That was kind of funny.
Yeah. So at least he's like has some humor to just like a shitty day.
Right.
But also that's important to note that just like how much people were lapped at this point.
3, like I know the Mazda spin,
But it was
lapped 3 times.
absolutely insane. And it was pretty much from like, what did we say? Like 8 or 7 down.
7 at a point. And Sebastian Vettel was in 7 and he had been lapped.
Yeah. So little crazy.
Damn,
Anyways.
But yeah, Bottas is not done pitting after that.
Absolutely
That was
not.
lap 66. And he went on to softs. And I don't know. I was looking at the stats and his time going that fast. And I'm like, maybe he just has to get into his group. No, Mercedes is like, nope, we're going to try something new. So they pit him again and put him onto another set of softs, which I almost feel like doing something like this is so bad for sustainability. Just saying.
They are desperate, baby. So lap 70, he gets another set of softs and does bring it home.
He does.
He snags back that one point.
But that doesn't get him the point though, because he's so far down.
Yeah.
He just takes it away from Max.
Which helps his team. But
Which we found out, it was quite beneficial because that point was the difference between
Significant.
Red Bull tying Mercedes
mm-hmm.
and Mercedes staying 1 point ahead.
Yeah.
Is that tight, you guys?
So the Ferrari team was interesting because both of them qualified pretty well, including Carlos Sainz, who at one point, I forget if it was Q2 or Q3, but we just saw him have no power in his car and he was like crawling along. This is when if you watch the video, Caitlin like had technical difficulties, but this is when she dropped out and we were like, oh God, what's happening here? So he qualified still pretty well. And we just kept seeing the two of them essentially not trying to pull team orders, I feel like, but kind of just like, what do you do at that point? They were neck and neck the whole time.
Right. But Sainz is on his radio saying like Charles is making a bunch of mistakes. Like I'm faster than him.
Yeah.
And then next we see like he passes Charles. So what was going on with Charles? Was it some technical like car difficulties? Something happens. We didn't really get to hear his audio on that.
I have no idea.
But it's weird because like come out to the end of the race and Charles passes Sainz. So
Yeah.
it's like he had it in him.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they definitely are the closest drivers for any team.
Yeah.
Right? They keep it together. Like they can battle each other, which may be not great, but I mean, also they would not have battled each other. But I really think Carlos has a lot of confidence now in the car.
Yeah, he's not like the fact that this is year 1 at the team and he's doing as well as he's doing. Like I said, I know that Charles has had some bad luck, but at the end of the day, like,
You guys want to see Fergie?
Carlos is consistent.
This is Fergie, y'all.
For the audio listeners,
Hey, honey.
Caitlin's kitty is now in view, one of them.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see, but we were talking about this at the bar, and I think when it comes to next year and the cost cap and stuff, Ferrari, if they can figure it out, they have other issues, but that duo
Management.
is very strong, just as like, I'm sure Lewis and George are probably going to be quite strong, just as hopefully Danny's more comfortable with the car, but then Danny and Lando are going to be quite strong. So,
but like, keep in mind that like,
and Checo and Max, because
but
Checo's
they're all
been
going to be
consistent.
expensive.
Yeah.
I think Charles and Carlos are the best bang for your buck.
I think so too.
Right? Because Danny Rick is expensive, but he's not performing that well.
No. I mean, he's been a bit, but just today sucked, but
I think it's because, and like Owen was kind of saying to us, well, kind of teaching us. He wasn't telling us. He's not like that, you know.
He's teaching us.
But it's like McLaren's really good with the straights because they don't have that downforce that Red Bull does, and that's why they're faster than Red Bull on the straights. So this just wasn't the track for them, I guess.
It's not great. So
Nice.
we do end up finishing. What was our top 10 or what was our all of it, Caitlin?
We have all of it. Yeah. So we have Max finishes first.
Unsurprising.
Oh, actually, we're going to talk about the last lap or two.
Oh shoot, I forgot. I didn't even see the notes there.
Did we just delete them?
No, they're right there.
Okay. So we have a chase.
Yeah,
It was a fun chase.
Obviously, we've got some tire swaps, but the Red Bull's just fucking fast.
Yeah, and we
Max
have Max is untouchable.
Out in front. Lewis Hamilton can't get him regardless of how much he's putting in the car. But then he has another issue.
Yeah, Checo coming on him fast.
Like so fast. And I think for the last like final 8 laps, it was
just gaining on him.
It was going between like being within DRS to just being just outside of DRS.
It was exciting.
And I think whoever was commenting at the time had such a good point where what Hamilton wants to do is to be racing Max. And right now he's not even doing that. He's racing Checo. And it was pretty intense. And we're like Caitlin said, we're like not the biggest Checo stands, but because it's like the Mexican Grand Prix.
Yeah, we wanted to see him do a like final lap overtake and just see the crowd go wild.
And he even said every time he swung by the crowd, he could hear them. So which is really cool. It was really cool.
So that was fun to see, but he does not get the overpass.
No,
it was close. He was within DRS range. And then Lewis kind of pulled away.
Yeah, so
Lewis found hammer time.
Well, it comes back to the straights, right? So every time they hit a straight, Lewis
lost it. And
was
also
able to get so far ahead.
Passing people. I'm pretty sure Lewis got ahead of someone, and then Checo had a harder time. I think it was Russell, but because it was coming up to a turn, Lewis got him before the turn, and Checo had to wait until after the turn.
Yep, you're right. And then also with Lando, they were lapping Lando, and for the longest time they didn't call the blue flags. So both of the vehicles, and at that point, it was very, very close between the two of them. But then finally they call the blue flag, so you can see like
Lando pulls off really.
Yeah, and then also Lewis start to get more speed in the car. So it was cool to see because I don't know, it's just like nice to see people doing well, but also to see that Checo's like really doing okay in this car.
Especially at this race.
Yeah.
We wanted him to do well here. So he ends up third though. And you know what? That's still okay because that's amazing. Another record.
Seriously.
That's the first time a Mexican has been on the podium.
So
at the Mexican GP.
Huge.
Awesome.
Absolutely huge.
We're thrilled for this. We would have loved to see him P1, but like we'll take a Checo in P3 for this race.
I think the country will still have a nationwide hangover.
Yeah, tequila.
Tons of tequila.
But like the good tequila too, because it's Mexico.
Exactly. So our finish, what was it?
We had Max in 1, Hamilton in 2, Checo in 3, Gasly.
I know we didn't talk about him too much,
but he was out just on his own.
Truly, there was like 40
seconds behind the Checo and them in 3rd. And then like 10 seconds ahead of the person in 5th. Like,
so he was just, every time they got to him, he was just driving.
Just on his own.
On his own. So a good solid finish though for the AlphaTauri team.
Yep.
For sure.
And then we had the Ferrari duo. Leclerc finished in front of Sainz. We had Vettel and then Raikkonen and then Alonso.
So the vets just showing up in Mexico.
Yeah. So, and they all got points, right? Like that's all points.
Solid points.
Like, right?
But this is another issue. So then Raikkonen again outshone Gio, who still doesn't know, y'all, as we're recording this, whether he has a team.
Yeah, right?
Not great.
But Norris, why am I putting Norris? Lando comes out in 10th. So he gets a point and he started back of the grid. So that's good. I mean, considering Danny didn't get a point.
Yeah, not great.
So good job, Lando. We have Gio in 11th, like Shanika is saying, behind Kimi and not getting points again. Just poor boy. Ricardo is 12th. We have Ocon, Stroll. Bottas finished 15th with fastest lap, but no point.
Yeah.
And then we had Russell Latifi, who I don't think they finished that close together in a while.
No.
He who shall not be named came in dead last for the racers. And then Schumacher and Tsunoda were DNFs.
Poor boys. Like we mentioned earlier, Mercedes is ahead of the Red Bull team just by 1 point. So the strategy of making sure
Bottas got that back
Smart, great call.
Mhm.
Lewis is now 19 behind Max, which means he needs to win the next race.
Like few races.
To at least like get out on top. But like Caitlin said, then he needs to win like the rest of them basically.
I think he knows that too, right?
He can sense the pressure a little bit.
And I also think like he must know, I think we know where the momentum is and who the faster driver of this season has been.
Yeah. But if anything, if they can't do that, then it's like Valtteri's got to get some luck under him so he can also finish on the podium to help Mercedes. So there's a lot. The last couple of things we want to highlight is tied to the celebration, because as much as Max won and it's the third one and he's tied, whatever,
Checo.
It was all about Checo. The whole thing was about Checo.
And Checo's dad is the cutest thing we've. Oh my God, he's so cute. Like we saw him after Coda and he was thrilled, and we were trying to figure out who this like excited man is, and then it turns out to be Checo's dad. Well, Checo's dad been like 100 times that excitement here.
100%.
It was so cute.
They like, I don't know if it was the Red Bull team or whoever, but they hoisted Checo up on their shoulders before they did Max.
Yeah, he was the first one to get hoisted. So that's
handed him a flag and was just so happy. And Checo said he was really happy that they won in his country, because also this is something that he wouldn't have been able to do if he was at a mid-grid team, to be honest. So,
and like everyone in the stands was in Red Bull apparel.
Yeah, they were all cheering for him. Everyone's in Red Bull apparel for Sergio Perez.
On my resort, there was actually a person with like, I don't know if it was a Checo or a Max, but it definitely was a Red Bull hat on the beach.
It's all for
it's
Checo.
everywhere.
I love Checo.
So I was actually wondering if I would see it in the grocery store. I went to a massive grocery store and I didn't. But
maybe if we were closer to the actual Mexico City. I don't know.
But no, it was so cute. And like, so Checo's dad comes around and is like, Max and Checo were actually like taking a bunch of pictures together with the Mexican flag, and it was very cute. And then Checo's dad comes in the middle.
Takes photos with them. Checo's
so cute.
Like Sergio Jr. just like running up during interviews.
Like he was like hanging onto his dad's leg as he was like on an interview, and Checo just like puts his hand down, like
just trying to figure out where he's at. So it was just really great. And then also something we didn't know was just the podium itself. So they actually have like a lift for the winning car. So Max's car gets lifted, so you have it right in front of the podium. And then also part of podium, Checo Jr. again. He's just sitting at the very end,
just like on the corner watching his dad. It was so cute.
But yeah, it was nice to see. I don't know, and
it was a celebration, and I think we got excited for it. We're not even in Mexico, and we're not in Red Bull stands, so
it was exciting. It was exciting. It was nice to see Checo take it. And even though Lewis was upset, that's actually the one thing that he mentioned in all of his interviews was like, this is really huge for Checo. So like, congrats.
I didn't hear that. That's cute though. So Lewis is like very emotional when things don't go his way, right? And he's like very like,
Caitlin looked up his chart.
I did. So we know that Lewis is a Capricorn and he works hard.
A Capricorn sun.
Yeah. So he's like the goat and will go up a mountain, right? But like just the way he is whenever things don't go his way or he loses, he's like in his car just like
he was upset today,
and he's like overly, I get why some people don't like him, because it is like over the top in a way, because it's like you can get out the car and be like, it was a race, fine, good job, and then leave. You don't have to like be in your car and be like, you don't, because you don't see the other drivers do that. But anyways, turns out, and I'm like, I bet you he has heavy water placement.
Yeah.
And we found a chart. I don't know if it's the real chart, but it explains a lot, because it said he's a Pisces moon and a Scorpio rising. So both water.
And we know what it's like to have heavy water placements. Like, your girl, I have a lot of water placements.
Yes.
I will say the people on Twitter that follow me, aka my own echo chamber, love my chart. Everyone else
is like identical to Penn Badgley, right?
Yeah, the only thing that's different between Penn Badgley and I is our Mars sign.
That's wild.
He's an Aquarius, I'm a Sagittarius. But other than that, it's like pretty much spot on that top 6.
Wild.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't know what his rising is though. I don't think no one knows though.
Okay.
Like, yeah. Anyways, so that might be why.
So yeah, we think Lewis was, I found him quite like over the top.
And I thought it was totally normal. I was like, yeah, I'd be that upset.
I am happy to hear that like, And I do think Lewis is good. So even after things don't go his way, like he'll be in his car upset, but he's like, good job to Max, or like in this case, good job to Checo. Glad to
Huge
see
for
this happen.
Checo, yeah.
Good. That's good to hear too.
Yeah.
I'm glad he said that. So.
Camaraderie is important. The surprise of the night.
I mean, yeah, it was very out of the box. And we saw that it was at when they had the checkered flag, they were announcing who was doing the checkered flag, and it was Kygo.
Like,
you guys,
international DJ extraordinaire,
you know, just tropical house kind of shit. Yeah. So Kygo from Norway, he was waving the checkered flag in Mexico. And I saw his Instagram. He was in Houston like 2 days before. And I'm like,
it's the life of a DJ, man.
Apparently.
We think that the Formula One drivers are in another city all the time. It's DJs are everywhere.
But more about Kygo, because he ends up on the podium after all the celebrations, and he starts DJing a set.
Yeah, he does a set. There was like,
and then
it
just becomes a party.
Giant party. People have like come down from the stands. I think Sky News tried to get an interview with
Christian Horner, and he's like, what?
Because you're hearing Kygo like blasting in the background, wildfire.
Doing High in Love. Okay, that's a good song.
There's a lot going on, but he was a surprise. But then also I was like, when I found out that, oh, like this is where EDC is, I was like, okay, that makes sense, because then all the rigging is kind of like they built for that. But also I just think it's hilarious that Kygo is also there. Like, it's just so strange, right?
He's not a Mexican DJ.
No, he's not. So not really sure what that was about, but it was good to see him, and it looks like he put on a good show for people. And I'm sure they're gonna have a party. Red Bull team is enjoying themselves today and tonight. So, but yeah,
that was fun. Enjoyed that.
Yeah, I have some energy back in me now. So took us an hour to get there.
Yeah, that's okay though.
Friends, we will be back next week because we are in a triple header.
Brazil.
Yes.
This is Brazil.
Okay.
You should watch Fast Five.
Okay.
So you get the reference.
And then after that is
Qatar.
Move to the Middle East.
Yep.
And after those two races,
then it's December 5th.
And December
12th is our last one in
Abu Dhabi.
Dhabi.
I think Caitlin will actually be away.
No, I'm here for December 12th.
Not December 5th.
Not December 5th, no.
So we're not gonna say where she's gonna be, but
I'll just see. It'll be on. I'll have my video on.
Yeah,
and you'll see the background,
and it'll give you a hint. So you can figure that out.
Yes.
But anyways, folks,
hope you liked that episode. We're actually quite happy after hearing that. After just talking about it.
Yeah, like we feel better about it now. Stay checkered, and we will see you in the next one.
Okay. Bye, friends.
Bye, everyone.